that's fine. Okay. So, where was I? Oh, yes. I teach an industrial design program. And that's not it, this one. And a lot of the the stuff that we do, one of the critical things about industrial design and engineering, any technical field for that matter, is the concept of 3D visualization or spatial orientation, those kinds of things. So that's a fundamental skill that I would say all the schools, technical schools in the world teach it. Okay, it's a key aspect of design, of engineering. Okay, and these are some of the classical examples, 3D visualization examples and exercises that we do in industrial design and engineering. Okay, so things like being able to recreate mentally the three-dimensional shape given by these orthographic views, or doing the opposite, or mental rotation exercises, those kinds of things, right? And some time ago, I worked extensively with a good friend of mine in Spain, Dr. Manuel Contero, and he teaches engineering over there, and we collaborate extensively in many things. And one day he said, we've been doing this workshop on, it's a remedial course for engineering students where we practice visualization skills, where students do a lot of exercises. They come to class. We've tried, giving them physical parts and make them sketch the orthographic views. We've tried CAD models. We even try augmented reality. So we have all this information. We have a website for this thing. Exercises done by hand like this. So we want to try put all that stuff together in a book, right? And a digital book, because a lot of the stuff is three-dimensional, and you can't really show that information very well in a traditional book. And I said, well, that sounds like a great idea. So let's get to work. I mean, I can use all that stuff that you guys are doing with my students here as well, right? That's the reason why some of the screenshots that I'm going to show you are in Spanish, okay? Because the book was developed for them first, and I'm working on my version now, okay? But that's the reason. So if I tell you when you hear the word ebook, if I ask you whether you prefer a traditional book or an ebook, I'm probably going to get 50-50, right? Some of you may say, well, it's pretty nice to have 1,000 books in one device that I can take with me anywhere I want to, right? And on the other hand, well, I prefer, traditional books because there's something else to reading. I mean, I like to touch the pages, flip the pages, the smell of a notebook, right? Never run us out of batteries, right? So those kinds of things. And that's true. I mean, and there are many different reasons on either side, right? Here are some of them, the most common ones, not all of them, okay? So if you look at traditional books, no batteries, okay? They never run out of batteries. The idea of ownership and sharing. When you buy a book, you own the book, right? You can give it to someone else. You can share it with someone else. You can resell it, right? When you buy an ebook, that's not necessarily true, okay? You buy that ebook that is linked to one particular device only. Sometimes you don't really own the book. And of course, there's no way to resell that file, right? Again, the physical, tactile, kinesthetic aspect of reading, some studies have been done on those aspects. Reading is more than visual. It's the tactile, the feeling the book, the touching the pages, right? On the other side, those who prefer ebooks, they will say, well, it's very fast and easy to access information, right? I can even search for words in the digital file. I can, the idea of portability and storage, like I said earlier, I can put 1,000 books in my e-reader, take them with me. I can access them anytime. The idea of price, okay? Ebooks are always, or typically, much cheaper than traditional books because there's no printing costs, distribution, and all that. And also adjustments. Okay, you can adjust your reader for night reading. You can increase the font size. All those things are, I guess, advantages of ebooks, right? If you look at the research, there are studies on both sides also. Okay, so for example, there was a survey in 2013 that said the students prefer physics in the humanities field. They prefer physical copies. They purchase the physical copy of the book as opposed to an ebook. And interestingly enough, that's not true. That's not the case for science and engineering. They prefer the digital version of the book. Okay. Students don't connect emotionally with on-screen texts. Okay. Again, the idea of flipping the pages. The idea of there are too many distractions when using an ebook or an e-reader. Students comprehend less of the information presented in digital books. This was a recent study. I think it was in the news a few months ago. Again, too many distractions, especially when little kids are reading stories. I mean, they can very quickly press a button and go somewhere else. So they comprehend less information if it's in digital form. And also, ebooks can negatively impact sleep. Okay, there was a study on circadian timing, next morning alertness, and because of the brightness of the screen at night, that actually affects those things. On the other hand, there are studies like the report put by the New Media Consortium. It's an annual report on the technologies in education. And one of the things they've been saying this for a long time, by the way. But one of the technologies that they list is mobile learning, and they say that it's going to be with us pretty soon. It actually already is. I mean, a lot of my students use tablets and phones. They take pictures of my PowerPoint slides. They take notes on their tablets, right? So it's pretty much with us. And this report says that mobile learning is going to be pretty soon ubiquitous, okay? It's going to be one of the technologies that is going to be with us every single day. Like I said, interestingly, if you look at the report by 2012, it actually shows the same thing. So you don't have to believe everything that's there, by the way. So to me, the comparison between traditional book and digital book doesn't really matter. Okay, to me, I like to think in terms of what a digital book can do for me that a traditional book cannot, right? So I identified 5 things. There are probably more, okay, but these are the 5 key things that for what I do, for visualization, and those things are important. So the idea of multimedia content, interaction, personalization, connectedness, and assessment, okay? So let me go very quickly through those. In a digital book, you're not limited to text, okay? You can include video, you can include audio to accommodate different learning styles. So to me, that's a plus, okay? Something that I can use. Even incorporate 3D content and those things. An ebook is interactive. Okay? You can highlight things in the book. You can search for words that you don't understand. You can interact with some of the content, some of the multimedia content that I was talking about earlier. The ebook can be personalized, both in terms of the format, meaning screen size, the brightness of the screen, the layout, how that information is presented, and also in terms of the content. Okay, you can accommodate content based on a specific student. Okay, if a student learns faster or reads faster than other, you can actually show and change the book to accommodate for that specific person. The ebook can be connected, okay? Not just to social networking sites, not just to email your instructor with the problems or the assignments or whatever. You can also connect it to learning management systems like Blackboard, okay? So you can dump information from the book to Blackboard, grades, stuff like that, right? So to me, that's also a plus. And then assessment. Many tools to create digital books provide the quizzes, assignments, and sometimes you can even grade those automatically. So multiple choice quizzes, those kinds of things can be graded automatically and get the student immediate feedback. So to me, those things are key because you cannot really do these with a traditional book, okay? They're important because they promote active learning and accommodate diverse learning styles, okay? So that's what the 5 things that I'm going to take advantage of in my ebook, right? So what do we need? The first thing we need to be able to read an ebook is a reader or a device that can read ebook. There's actually 2 types, the e-readers or the dedicated e-readers that can only do that, okay, read an ebook. And there are devices that are more versatile, like tablets, like an iPad, okay? They can do many more things, not just e-reading. Again, both have advantages, disadvantages. E-readers, better readability, especially in sunlight because they use electronic ink. I mean, this is just, they're designed for that. Longer battery life, typically available in black and white, shades of gray, okay? Tablets have a higher refresh rate, meaning you can make them more interactive, okay? Brighter, accommodate multiple types of content. Tablets are gradually displacing e-readers because they can do many things and more affordable, those kinds of things. So that's the first thing, the e-reader. Now, an ebook is essentially, the ebook itself is essentially a file, a computer file, right? And there are many different file formats we can choose from to create our ebook. And this is taken from Wikipedia, all right? It's a pretty, I think, pretty good comparison here. There are many of them. Some of them are obsolete already. If you notice, even Word documents are included in there. Anything that is electronic text is included as an ebook. Okay. Now, the most popular ones, perhaps, I think these 5 are pretty popular. Well, first of all, PDF is kind of the standard, okay, in electronic documents. And then you have the EPUB file format. That's the one that the Nook uses, for example. iBooks for Apple. The AZW file for Kindle, and then there's a MOBI also. Those are kind of the standard file formats. Now, how do we create those things? How do we create those files? Well, it really depends on the file. I mean, you can use a regular Word processor, Microsoft Word, and export to PDF, and you have an ebook, right? Not very interactive, okay, but that's an ebook. If you want to make something a little fancier than that, you can use a desktop publishing software like Adobe InDesign, for example. You can do, you can manipulate images a little better. You can do things like content that spreads over various pages, like magazine type of style formatting. You can do that with InDesign. If you want to do something more interactive like this, you have to use an authoring tool, a dedicated tool to create those types of books. Okay? There are many out there. For example, Book Creator, Inkling, iBooks Author. These are tools that are specifically designed to create interactive books. Okay? Typically for tablets. Okay? Now we went with. Here's where I tell you about my experience here. We went with iBooks for various reasons. The main reason for me is the reason I'm going to give you in a minute. Okay, let me walk you through what iBooks is, and then I'll give you the reason. So iBooks is an ebook reader app for the iPad, for iPad and iPhone. Okay, it's free. It's integrated in iOS, in the latest version of iOS, so you don't even have to download it. You buy an iPad, you buy an iPhone, iBooks is there. It's multi-touch, okay? Multi-touch meaning that you can use multiple fingers, okay, to do things like zoom in, zoom out, and stuff like that. It allows the integration of multimedia features, okay? Like I said, video, audio, 3D content. It supports highlighting, study cards, notes, and glossary terms. That's by default. You don't have to do anything. So any book you create, you can do highlight, you can do study cards and all that. Definitions of key topics and concepts without leaving the page. So the definition of a specific word is there. It's connected to a dictionary. You can actually highlight the word and say, what is this? And it will tell you the definition of that. And it's connected to VoiceOver, which is the software that reads out loud the contents of the page. So for accessibility purposes and stuff like that, you can actually have VoiceOver with iBooks. Now, when we first selected iBooks, my concerns were basically 3. The first one is iBooks only works for iPad, so it's iPad-only audience. Now, fortunately, if you create an iBook, you can export all that to a PDF. You lose all the interactivity, right? But at least you have access to the content, right? Students have access to the content, which, I mean, kind of defeats the purpose, right, of creating an interactive book. So that was one of my main concerns. Also, requires a Mac to author. So there is no authoring tool for Windows. And this, I really hate this because I'm really not a Mac user, believe it or not. Okay, so this really bothered me when they suggested iBooks. I was like, I'm looking for something more general, more multi-platform, right? And also the file size, too large, and I put a question mark there because I still don't know, okay? I haven't tested this extensively, but the file size of the iBook can grow very rapidly when you start, including video, when you start including 3D. I mean, the file size can get to the gigabytes pretty soon, okay? It's only one file. Everything is stored in one single file. So those are my major concerns. Again, there was one aspect that really that really got me. When I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm sold on this. I got to try this. And I will show you in a minute, okay? So this is the interface. When you go to your iPad or your iPhone and open iBooks, it's like a bookshelf. You can download books, and they will appear like that. So you click, you tap on one, it will open, and you start reading. That's as simple as that. There's really nothing else to it. So where do we get those books? What about the distribution? Well, it's primarily connected to iBooks Store, which is like the app store for books. Okay, some of them are free, some of them you can buy. You can also upload your own books in iBook format through iTunes. Okay, so you have your file, you can send that to iTunes, synchronize, and you have access to your book. Again, remember we're working with Apple here. So documents created by iBooks author in the iBooks format may be sold for a fee. So if you want to make money with iBooks, you have to do it through Apple. And of course, they take a cut, all right, of that. So you can only sell them if they are accepted by and exclusively distributed by Apple. That's in the iBook format, right? You also have the option to distribute your work for free. So you can put that iBooks or that iBooks file anywhere you want if you're not going to charge for it. That's perfectly fine. But if you want to make money, it has to go through that iBooks store, and Apple has to take a look at it. And again, a non-interactive version in PDF can be created, and you can actually sell that. But again, what's the point, right? Those are the kind of the legal issues with iBooks. So Apple has another application called iBooks Author, which is the one that you use to create this type of content, this type of material. It's also free. Okay, you go to the App Store, iBooks Author, downloads for free. It only works for Mac. Okay, like I said, and the interface is extremely simple, like any Apple product or most Apple products, right? It's actually very similar to PowerPoint. Okay, I'll show you a screenshot in a minute. It's what you see. They use the what you see is what you get paradigm. It's drag and drop, very visual. Table of contents and glossaries may be managed with some automation. You can actually do that with Word also, by the way. So that's really nothing special. Very similar to Keynote, if those of you that use Apple and Apple products, very similar to that. And they have an extensive catalog of templates, okay? And pretty professional looking templates. So of course, you can change the images, you can change the content, but the layout is already defined for you, and it actually works. It works very well. So here's an example of the interface. Okay, so it's essentially a PowerPoint, right? So you have the book, you have sections, you have each page is one of these thumbnails that you see here. And you can apply a template just like you do in PowerPoint, add your images, your content, your text, and convert to iBooks, and you're ready to go. As simple as that. It's actually very, very easy to use. The cool thing about iBooks is this functionality here that they call widgets, okay? So this widget is like this button up here. This allows you to incorporate interactive contents, all right? And you have, I think, 8 or 9, yeah. By default, already installed with iBooks Author. Okay, the interactive gallery. Okay, this is what you normally see in websites, where you see one picture. Okay, and there's actually a gallery with 3. The user can actually tap on that picture, see that picture full screen. You can drag to move, to the next pictures and stuff like that. So very basic. Incorporation of media. Multimedia are video, audio. Okay, just like the type of video you see anywhere, YouTube, okay? So you just tap on that icon and it plays the video for you. Chapter reviews, that's also, it comes with iBooks Author by default. Quizzes, multiple choice, basic drag and drop type of quizzes, they already built in. Interactive images, you can add animations, okay, this is basic stuff. And 3D content, so the user can actually tap on this and rotate and look at a different angle and stuff like that. So that's already there. That's in iBooks for you. There are some repositories online where you can download more widgets. Okay, so if you want functionality to do, I don't know, the spot the difference for for a kid's book, children's book, for example, spot the difference. You have a widget for that. Okay, and everything will be drag and drop. If you want to do a, I don't know, slider puzzle. Okay, there's a widget for that. Calculator, Flickr gallery, Google Maps, everything is, all you have to do is download this file, bring it into iBooks Author, and use it from that menu. Okay, very simple. There's even, actually I found this very recently. You can even incorporate 360 video, the one you see on YouTube for Google Cardboard, where you can look around and all that. You can actually incorporate that into your book. Okay, one of the programs that you use to do those type of 360 videos has a functionality to export that video to iBooks Author, so you can bring it into your book. Okay, so I haven't tried it, but it sounds cool. Now, what really sold me on the iBooks thing is like, okay, so if people are developing these widgets, how are they doing it? Can I develop my own widgets? And when I saw this, it's like, I'm sold, I gotta try it, right? So those widgets are made in HTML5. And I come from a computer science background, so for me it's like, okay, I can do pretty much whatever I want, right? I can program the functionality within the book. That's awesome, right? So these are the kinds of things that you can and cannot do with iBooks, all right? So in your iBook, you have access to, you can use the accelerometer in your iPad. You can do offline storage if you want to save files in that user's iPad. Location services, GPS, that kind of thing. JavaScript, so I can program pretty much, not anything, because there are certain things that I cannot do, but a lot of the stuff can be developed, right? So I said, I gotta try this. So in our book, this is what we wanted. Okay, we wanted a photo gallery. Again, this is a visualization book, essentially exercises to improve, spatial skills, things like mental rotation, orthographic views, all right? So we need, for sure, a photo gallery to show images of the objects that students need to draw. 3D models with solutions. So I want my students to be able to rotate the view so they can look at different things of the geometry, different aspects of the geometry, so they can have a better idea what they were sketching. Videos with learning materials on orthographic projection and multi-view drawings. Custom widget design. This is cool because I can create my own widget to make students do their homework in the book, all right? And then do their homework and then send it to me, all right? By email, without even the ebook. That's great, right? So this is what the book looks like. Some of the pages, right? This is the 3D. I'll show you. I actually brought my iPad. I don't have the connector to show it in the projector, but I think everybody will be able to see it. So this is the 3D content. You can use your finger to rotate. Here are the exercises. When you tap on one, you have access to something like, I think I have it here, something like that. This is our custom widget. Okay, so you have essentially a worksheet, the classic multi-view orthographic type of exercise that you see here. You have a three-dimensional object, and you want the students to sketch the orthographic views, right? So traditionally, they do it by hand, right? So with this widget, they can actually use their finger, or better, their stylus. When they're done, they can email it to the instructor. So the great thing about this is that once you have your book and students doing their exercises on their book, you can actually connect your iPad to the big screen, so we can see we can discuss things as a group. You can see what other students are doing. I can do demonstrations in my iPad and show it in here in the book, right? Remember, one single file. I don't have to worry about managing paper, a bunch of files, a bunch of videos, a bunch of 3D models, nothing like that. Easy archival and retrieval assignments. That's more like that's in my wish list, okay? Because now every time a student submits an assignment, it goes to my email. You can imagine what my inbox looks like, right? So I'm hoping that in the future, instead of email, I can go to Dropbox or Blackboard, right? So I have everything, all the assignments organized instead of me having to go one through each one of them and organize that by hand. So that's submission via email. I'm changing that. Some of the limitations. Remember, this is still a prototype. It's not being fully used yet. Lack of precision of touch input for sketching. Students, it's kind of hard to sketch with your finger, to be precise with the finger. So a lot of students use the stylus, which works better. Or even with the new iPad, now it comes with the Apple Pencil. I don't know if you've seen it, the iPencil or whatever it's called. That's actually very nice. Okay, you can get a lot of precision with that. There's no integration with learning management systems such as Blackboard, and I don't know what the solution is. I don't want to get into that, even as a programmer. I mean, that's a massive undertaking, so I'm going to stay away from that. To me, it's easier to have a Google Drive folder or a Dropbox and send it there. And there's limited 3D interaction in the widget that comes with iBooks Author. It's limited 3D interaction. You can only rotate, zoom in, zoom out, but that's it. There's no way to select the face of the model, for example, or modify the geometry and stuff like that. And my wish list. The main one is, do you see that underlined text? Automatic assessment. You probably agree with me. I don't want to grade this. Okay, I want the book to grade stuff for me. All right, and I have an idea actually, because the type of exercises that I use. Okay, remember I'm using something like that. I can actually very easily through code locate points, and if I have the solution, I can compare. So there are ways to do that. That's my main goal right now. I want students to work on their projects and get automatic immediate feedback, so they don't have to email me and wait for my response. Okay, they just can get immediate feedback from the book directly. Advanced interaction capabilities. It would be nice to see, for example, for physics simulations. Okay, what happens when you change, the mass of this object, or when you change the distance, or whatever. Integration with learning management systems. Update questions dynamically. It would be nice if I could, as an instructor, change their questions on their ebooks. Okay, so next time they open their iBook and they go to take the quiz, they have a different question every time, right? New types of questions, video, audio. Right now the questions are essentially text, multiple choice, right, and the custom widget that I just showed you. It would be nice to have timed quizzes. I don't think there's a way to do that yet with iBooks Author, but it would be nice if you can put a time limit, okay? And then also analytics. I want to be able to see how many times a student takes the quiz, what grade, when did he take it. All those kinds of things will be nice to have, okay? So I think I'm out of time actually. So, perfect. Thank you so much. If you guys have any questions, I'll be glad to answer. If I can't answer, I'll make something up.
On that last point,
yes.
Say that as of right now, the tests cannot be timed.
I don't think so. I haven't found a way to do it. Maybe I missed it, but I don't think there's a way to time the quiz. Right now, you can go to the end of the chapter and you have a question. Answer the question, but you can spend all the time in the world, right? So if there is a way to time the quiz, I haven't figured it out.